Be, be nice. Good evening. We need to get as many people seated as possible before the show begins. So if those of you that are seated, please, if you have empty seats, please move in towards the center of your rows so that we can get everybody else who's in here seated. We have some seats down here that are available. I need everybody to sit. If you have empty chairs next to you, please raise your hand so we can get as many people seated as possible. Folks, we really need everybody to find seats. Keep your hands up if you still have seats available near you. Thank you so much for your cooperation. It's greatly appreciated.
Exactly as we were told.
You have the that mic cut, right? Okay, excellent. Who's running the sound of the video? You? Right, but you're doing okay. Good evening. Welcome to our 45th annual Volusia All-County Music Festival. This is our second of 5 all-county events. We're very thrilled that you're here this evening. One of my teachers shared that video with me at the beginning of the year, and I thought it would be perfect for this event. It's just, that video is so illustrative about how the arts make us whole and makes us human, the humanity of the arts and music. Life would be so bland without them. And we were here talking, he goes, you can't start a concert with everybody crying. Huh? Thank you for being here this evening. We are honored that you're here. And tonight we have, we're introducing 2 conductors new to the state of Florida, and it's been a wonderful 3 days of very hard work by your students. And I want to take a moment before I forget that we always thank the students, but you know, parents, we as teachers, we're so grateful for the commitment that you've made to their musical education. And I just want to let you know that sometimes your efforts sometimes go underappreciated, and I just want to make sure that you knew how we all feel about you. So give yourself a hand. I'd like to thank all of our district administrators and teachers. You don't have to stand up. I know that there's several principals and hopefully school board members out here in attendance this evening. Thank you for being here. I would like to remind you of concert etiquette. If you need to get up, please do so between numbers. You may use your devices to videotape. If you would just please silence them, we would appreciate that. Great. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jared Koskowski, who is the Director of Bands and Orchestras at Seabreeze High School, who is also the President of the Volusia County Organization of Music Educators, to present the BCom Administrator of the Year Award.
Good evening. The Volusia County Organization of Music Educators is exactly that. It's all their music teachers across the county. We get together, and our job is to help service these all-county festivals in any capacity we can to support them. We do so in many different ways. One of the things that we do, everything from elementary, choir, band, and orchestra, and even jazz band later on in the year. We also give the opportunity for our music educators in the county to nominate administrator at their school, that they feel has gone above and beyond their role as an administrator to not just support themselves as a teacher, but also the students in the program as well. I'm sure every school has at least one administrator, if not all of them, that are amazing individuals to help support and do everything that we need to help our young students become the best that we can be and that they can be. This year, we had the principal that was receiving the R. David Smith Middle School Administrator of the Year Award is from Creekside Middle School. I'm not making this up when I say his name. His name is John, middle initial E, last name Cash. So yes, his name is Johnny Cash. And with a name like that, yes, we're gonna take a round of applause. With a name like that, how could he not be the Administrator of the Year Award? Anyway, so here to speak on about Mr. Cash. I want to keep saying to him, not talking about Johnny Cash, is the band director, Mr. Garrett Pritchard.
Good evening. Good evening. Please respond. Before we start, just a quick thing. Is my shirt pink or salmon? I don't mind either way, it's just the kids think, some of them think it's pink and some of them think it's salmon. It's definitely salmon, by the way. So all you that said salmon, you win no prize. So I hate speaking in public, which is a bit crazy because that's sort of half my job. So you will excuse me, I have some notes because I don't want to forget anything. When the invitations came around for us to put somebody forward for this award, I had no second thought. I was immediately on my computer saying, yes, my principal, John Cash. I'm not going to say anything about Johnny Cash. It's the first thing I realized when I saw the name when I had my interview 2 years ago. I've kept very quiet about it and not said a word, so I don't know whether he realizes or not. But that interview was done very last minute. My time was given to me while I was already working somewhere. I had to go straight to the school in my normal clothes. I was instructing brass at another school. And I was a little bit worried because I always think that first impressions are important. But the minute I walked through the door, he put my mind at ease. I mean, here was a guy who had done his homework. He knew where I had come from that day. He knew where I'd been teaching for the last few years. He knew exactly everything about me. He had spoken to parents, he had spoken to children, he had spoken to other band directors. So he knew exactly who I was when I walked through the door. If I have a choice in that, I was very impressed with that. And that told me straight away that this is a guy who is very keen for his band program to work and work really good. Then when I started at the school, I found out that it wasn't just the band. It was all the arts in general, and I have to say the rest of the school as well. He knows what time I arrive in the morning. He knows what time I leave at night, and sometimes that is late. And the reason he knows it because he's there himself. He spends that amount of time at the school. And I know that all the children, we have 16 children in this band from Creekside, and I wouldn't mind betting he knows the name of most of them, if not all of them. Take, for example, on the boy over there, he'll tell you that every time he sees Mr. Cash, he'll ask him about double reed stuff, right? He's very keen to know about double reeds and single reeds and talk to the brass players. So he doesn't just know their names, he knows what instruments they play. He's always the first one at the parades when we do parades. He has helped financially to buy the band a set of new uniforms for parades. And he has now worked with the booster parents to refurbish our trailer. So he gives me all the freedom I need to concentrate, to make the kids perform their best. He doesn't give me any problems. which is really nice. His door is always open, and if there are any issues at all, I can speak to him. Like a week ago, it was the deadline for MPA entries, and because I'm a solo ensemble, the kids tend to change their minds. I went to him 4 times with a form, a different form, or the same form with different names on it, asking him to sign it. And each time, it just wasn't a problem. He didn't ask what was wrong or why or anything. He just did it. So, if you ever, to all the band directors in here, if you ever get a chance to work with John Cash, take the opportunity, right? This is a principal, in my mind, who gets it. He really does get it. So, after having said all that and being so positive on how interested he is in all this, I now have to tell you he can't be here tonight. He was 50 years old, and he doesn't look a day older than 60. He was 50 years old last week, and his wife, part of his birthday present, was his wife bought him tickets to go to Dr. Phillips to a concert tonight, and he said if he came in instead, she would kill him. I said, so what? But eventually I agreed. So here to accept the award on his behalf and to give you a speech from him, which she's been told to do verbatim, I understand, is one of the school's assistant principals. So please welcome Marcia Lockamy to the stage.
Good evening. Sorry, excuse me. Good evening. Yes, thank you. My name is Marcy Lockamy. I am an assistant principal at Creekside Middle School, and Mr. Pritchard is right. Mr. Cash's name is John E. Cash. That is his form name. And so he apologizes for not being able to be here this evening, but I have been instructed to read this verbatim. So here are his remarks. Thank you very much for this recognition. It would take a lot for me not to be able to be here this evening, and it did. My wife surprised me with tickets to an event in Orlando to celebrate my birthday. He did turn 50. So that is the only reason I am not standing in front of you to accept this award. I was also told the only reason I was selected for this award was I had by far the best name recognition, head and shoulders above anyone else, as John E. Cash. I want to thank Mr. Pritchard, our band director at Creekside Middle School, for this nomination and recognition. He is a true professional in the world of music and teaching. I also want to thank all of the students who devote so much of their time and energy in practicing the art and singing and playing music. I marvel at the talent level of these students and their ability and desire to always want to play and get better. There is not a week that goes by that I am not walking by a performing arts classroom and I am just sucked into the room to enjoy the music. As lovers of music who are here this evening, we all know the power of music. It can alter our mood, make us feel goodness, sadness, joy, such a range of emotions. Pretty powerful stuff. And this evening, this award from Volusia County Music Educators has made me feel honored, proud, and humble. I want to close by thanking all of my Creekside family, as each and every day, some pretty amazing things happen on our campus. Lastly, I have instructed Ms. Marcy Lockamy to read this verbatim. I want to thank Marcy, my super talented and gorgeous assistant principal, for accepting this award on my behalf. Thank you, John E. Cash.
The group standing before you this evening is the Volusia All-County Middle School and their conductor, as I stated earlier, is a recent resident of the state of Florida. He comes to us from Michigan. He was hired recently as professor of music education at Stetson University. a fantastic conductor and a consummate professional. And at this time, would you please welcome the Volusia All-County Middle School Band and their conductor, Dr. John Weiser.
We're going to take just a second to make a little sound before we get much further because they haven't played their instruments for a few minutes and I'd like them to make sure that they can do the best possible job for you. So give us just a second before we start our first tune. Thank you. Close to American instruments. Warm up. Thank you. The opening tune was Into the Clouds by Richard Saucedo. The program is not going to be exactly as printed in your program, so I'm going to make a couple remarks about different things and also make sure that you know which tunes we are actually playing. It's a real honor and privilege for me to be here tonight. These students are amazing, and their teachers and music directors have been so supportive of them and me. They're just an amazing group of folks and have worked very hard to make sure that we have the kind of outcome you're hearing on stage today. A little bit more about that later, but the second tune on the program is going to be on a hymn song of Philip Bliss. And not sure where the feedback is coming from, but I'll try not to let it get too bad so that it rings in all of our ears. On a Hymn Song of Philip Bliss is a very moving and meaningful tune. It's also a tune that is usually played by high school and college ensembles, not usually played by middle school ensembles. And when I was talking with Dr. Musgrave and some of the other conductors in the district here, they were like, this is a really top-notch group, and we think that they can handle this. Moreover, they have really done a beautiful job with this. This has been such a great piece for us to work on because of the great clarinet section we have, all the warm sounds that come from the low brass, and the wonderful, just full instrumentation. Everybody is doing their job really well. So aside from the difficulty of playing the tune because of its deep meaning, the tune itself is based on a story, a real life story that happened where a family had decided to go on a trip. And this is at a time when they were crossing the Atlantic in ships. And unfortunately, the father was not able to take the initial passage with them. As his wife and their children made the passage, the ship hit a terrible storm and sank in the middle of the ocean. The only survivor of the family was the wife, and she ended up in Wales. And when the husband heard about this, he made his way to Wales again via ship, because that was the only way to make that trip at that time. During the passage, at about the same place where the other ship had been taken down during the storm, the husband had experienced a deep sense of some kind of spiritual moment where he said, I need to write down about what I'm feeling and how this is happening. And it all was about not only his loss, that was the initial part of it, but then it became poetry. And he actually wrote a poem about this that explained how he was feeling and how through this experience from, being on the waves and on the water, through this experience, he had reconnected with his family, and then when he reconnected with his wife, that there were still positive things in life and positive things to come. When Philip Bliss, who is a hymn songwriter, saw this poem, he was so moved by it because it wasn't just about the sorrow of loss, but about the hope of what is to come and what we can make out of life, that he was moved to write this beautiful melody. And so when David Holtzinger arranged this for band for us, he did us a huge favor. I hope you will enjoy on a Hymn Song of Philip Bliss. It's one of my favorite pieces, and I hope you'll think so too when we get done. This is where we're going to mix up the order of the program a little bit. The last number listed is His Honor, which is a Fillmore March, very popular Fillmore March. We are going to put that in this slot, so it's going to be right in the middle of our part of the program. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about it, except that it's a classic American march, and a band should not play a concert without a march on it, right? Here we go. The next tune that we're going to play is called Snake Charmer. The wonderful thing about this tune, and one of the things that I think is important for any concert that we do, the band has a rich tradition of playing original pieces, marches, and transcriptions. And every concert should have those things as part of what they do, from my point of view, just because that's part of our history and it makes up who we are as a big society. So one of the things that we have is a lot of new things being written, and with that, we have composers exploring new sounds or sounds that may not have always been used in our ensembles. The normal, like what you heard with the march here, major, we know that those are, that's the major and minor scales, things that sound happy, things that sound sad, etc., etc. Most of the things that we play tonight have that very straightforward major-minor kind of approach to things. This particular piece is based on a Byzantine scale. So it sounds very exotic from our ear standpoint. But this gives our students a chance to hear intervals that they wouldn't ordinarily hear. It gives them a chance to explore some tonalities and some musical ideas that are not necessarily common in the literature. So I love to explore these things with our students and have them have that opportunity to do that. This piece, Snake Charmer, as I said, is based on a Byzantine scale and is written by Randall Standridge, who is also a middle school band director. So written from the point of view of someone who knows what folks this age can and should be able to do and what challenges to put in front of them. So I hope that you'll take the journey with us and enjoy Snake Charmer. I know Dr. Musgrave has a few things that he wants to say, but before I let him do that, I want to, first of all, really thank again all of the folks who have made this evening possible. First of all, you parents who have brought us all together because you have supported the arts and brought your students to these types of events and made it possible for them to get interested and then follow through with music. So let's all thank the parents again, give them a big round of applause. I'd also like to recognize, of course, the students sitting behind me who have put in so much hard work, who have been so attentive. These are some of the most best behaved students that I have worked with, and I've done a lot of these types of things, and the most prepared, not only from their own hard work, but because of the dedication and hard work of their teachers and directors. And I've mentioned this before, but I would like all of the teachers and directors who have been part of this to stand up, wave your hand and be noticed, please, because you folks have really made this possible. And the last thing that I'd like to say before I hand it over to Dr. Musgrave, who the things that he wants to do, is that, again, I am truly honored and grateful to have had the opportunity to work with these students. And it has been so much fun because they've been so responsive. And I hope you've enjoyed the fruit of their labors. They are amazing students and will go on to be great musicians, and more important, great music appreciators. And that's, we don't always go on to do the things that we've done in middle school or high school throughout our lives as far as actually doing. How many of you do calculus at this point? Or, okay, a couple of you, fine, thanks. There's always a few, but anyway, no, but seriously, there's a lot of things that we do in school because it helps us to grow as people and we learn how to think and all those other good things. And true in the arts as well, we learn how to do some painting and maybe some sculpture and we do some theater and dance and of course music. But the big thing is what we take away from that, how it enriches our lives and what we do as growing consumers of that throughout our lives and growing consumers of music. So I know these folks will always be. And that's a result of all the hard work and good things that you've done. I'm looking forward to doing our last piece and taking you to the movies, but before we do that, Dr. Musgrave has a word.
Don, on behalf of Volusia County Schools, we'd like to give this small token of our appreciation. This is an appreciation for your outstanding commitment to the music students and teachers of Volusia County Schools. Thank you so very much for serving as our clinician for this festival. And as we said, now we're going to take you to the movies. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We obviously have a little work to do here. We got to get these fine musicians off stage, bring the high school band up. So we'll do it as quickly as humanly possible. Thank you.
I trained, so what you should have is on your master, you should have a graphic EQ somewhere. Here's your wireless. This is from the whole system right here. So it looks like somebody hacked the hell out of it. But that's And then when they get up there and you turn the lights off, it's a different world. You know what I mean? Usually it's like a big band with a million lights. So something like this. That was really bad in the low knee. Try not to boost things. It's like 27 years. Okay. Next where I sat. Good job. The band's all sitting up there. Hey, is the nail working? Yeah, I want to flip them off.
Thank you for your patience. And on stage is the Volusia All-County High School Band. Their conductor hails from Missouri. Dr. Scott Libroff is the newly appointed Director of Bands, Central Florida. Go Knights! If you really want to know how successful he's been, just talk to your children tonight when you go home. You probably already have. They really had a great time. So, without further ado, please welcome the Volusia All-County High School Band and their conductor, Dr. Scott Libroff. Before the last selection, a few people I need to recognize, so I ask for your indulgence. This process of putting this festival together just doesn't happen. I've got a really great group of teachers that have helped to organize these rehearsals, all the way from the audition process and all of that stuff. It's a major undertaking, and we have 2 chairpersons for each one of the bands. Joey Powell is the band director at Southwestern Middle School, and Natalie Netterville is the band director at DeLand Middle School, and they are all county chairpersons. And in lieu of paying them like $1 million for all of their work, what I will give them instead is this lovely certificate. So come on up, guys. At least I can do. Let me try that again. Mr. Powell's at Silver Sands Middle School. Sorry about that. Mr. Hancock is at Southwestern doing a fine job. Sorry about that. Anyway, to the 2 of you, appreciation for your hard work. And there might be some money underneath the actual certificate, maybe. On behalf of Volusia County Schools, we thank these 2 people in particular for their fantastic work. And of course, our 2 high school chairpersons, Lauren Martin is director of bands at Deltona High School, and Mr. Paul Robinson is the band director at Pine Ridge High School. And come on up. On behalf of Volusia County Schools, thank you guys for all your great work. Let's give them a hand, please. Finally, Dr. Newbroff, on behalf of Volusia County Schools, I'd like to give you this great looking plaque that says it says, in appreciation for your outstanding commitment to the music students and teachers of Volusia County Schools, thank you so much for your great work with these fine students.
Good evening. That was rather tepid.
Good evening. Thank you for being here, for supporting these incredible young people. My name is Scott Lubroff. I am the new Director of Management at the University of Central Florida. My wife and I moved to Florida 6 months and 1 day ago, and I was telling these students that I've just really been overwhelmed at the hospitality in Central Florida and the warmth and the humanity in Central Florida. Not that I expected you to not be humid and hospitable and cold, but it's exceeded our expectations. I echo a lot of what my colleagues said, John, with the middle school band, that the students that we have had the absolute privilege to work with over the last couple of days have been spectacular. They came in so well prepared, which is not only a testament to them and their willingness to work hard, but to the tremendous teaching in this county that helped make sure that they were prepared. And so I'm very grateful, not just obviously for the opportunity to be here with everyone, but for such incredible teaching. And the video that we watched at the start of the concert, I felt like that was spectacular. I noticed, and you noticed in your program, there's material that Dr. Musgrave put in the back about just advocating for music, the arts, the humanities in our schools, which I know I'm preaching to the choir, but you can go out and preach to people that don't understand what you clearly understand in Volusia County, which is that when you take the arts and you take the humanities out of the schools, then we don't teach our students, our children, how to be human. And by having that be such an important part in an environment in the schools, public schools especially, where we test pretty much everything that doesn't move. I can find you, Dr. Musgrave can find you, Dr. Leishner can find you, every study in the world that tells you and shows you that if we're going to go the testing route, that the arts and the humanities support better performance in those testing environments. I have yet to find any study that shows that taking the arts and the humanities away from the students in our schools helps in the end. So keep them in the schools, keep supporting them the way you do, because this is spectacular. So thank you for that. I have been so impressed and so touched by the students that are sitting behind me. They just have a smile on their face all the time, and then whatever, they were willing to try new things with a new person, willing to give opinions when asked, willing to share feelings, willing to be, if you noticed in the slow piece, Dusk, willing to be vulnerable, willing to be beautiful, willing to be patient. And that was spectacular. It's a composer that's really contributed a lot in the last 15 years to the Wind Band. And I love that piece. And we sort of decided we own that piece. I will tell you that the last piece that you heard was not Strange Humors. It'd be kind of funny if it was, but it wasn't. That was the Liberty Bell March. It opened with Kirkpatrick fanfares composed by a really, really dear friend of mine, Andy Wilson. Went to college together, and our kids played together. Actually, the school from which I just came, prior to being UCM, University of Central Missouri, actually commissioned that piece for the opening of their university library for Andy. And then we went to the whole first suite. Appreciate you understanding that we played all the movements without pause in between. That is just a classic, 1909. It was composed, but it's still one of the most played. That and Start Forever, two of the most played pieces in the concert band repertoire. And then Dusk. I have no words for that piece. And then you heard Liberty Bell. Now you are going to hear Strange Humors. This is by John Mackey. He and Steve Bryant, who wrote Dusk, and a couple other composers, are sort of the new Rat Pack of the band composition world. And Mackey writes really sometimes theatrical, very effect-driven, very cool pieces. And you're going to hear an incredible djembe feature. This is a djembe, sort of an hourglass-shaped drum hit it. Isn't that cool? You're going to hear more than that on this piece. Again, Monty, thank you for the opportunity to spend this time with all these great teachers and these great students. Thank you guys for being just dreams. Thank you guys for supporting them. Keep making sure that they play after high school. Whether they go to college or not, they need to play. And thank you. Enjoy Straight Juniors. Since I've been kind of yapping, got dry, so I'm going to let them play a few notes for like 3 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our concert for this evening. Thank you so much for your attendance. Have a great evening. Drive home safely, and as always, do not forget your children. Good night.
You're supposed to wait until we leave and then say it. They're gonna go to the band. Just leave it right here. Come here. We got here at 6:30. I'll go back. So, do you happen to know if there's going to be anything happening in this auditorium next week? So I can leave my stuff right there because I'm going to run it again.
You should ask Mr. Goldie because I honestly don't know.
What's the matter with you?
I know. I don't know the schedule.
Hey, I wanted to thank you for picking a piece of the 2 week class.
I didn't. He did. I don't pick the music. I leave that responsibility up to the conductor. No, I did not, but that's cool.